Hey, you found us. It's another Wednesday, another LHS Live, another video that makes me look awfully huge. I'm here, Daxton Frazier, my sidekick. I'm Joe Roberts. Our special guest, the one, the only, Dusty McGee. And I'm not just saying that because I like you and you may or may not sign my paycheck.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here. More with Dax than maybe you, but
Oh.
don't take any offense to that.
Okay, well, I'm gonna have to go back to the drawing board on that one. Just like we do every Wednesday morning at 10:20, we're gonna hit you with some upcoming events. Dax,
Yes,
take it
sir.
away, sir.
On Friday, don't forget to go support your Liberty Panthers at Splendora against the Wildcats. Yeah, the Wildcats. The Splendoran Wildcats.
The Splendoran Wildcats.
Also on Friday, cross country goes to Deer Park, so go attend that. And then on the 9th, your homecoming shirts, they go on sale. So there'll be order forms outside of Mr. Ewing, our big old producer over there. They'll be outside of his room. And then
Wait, did you just burn Mr. Ewing?
What do you mean?
I can't tell if you burned him or not.
How so?
Like big old personality?
No, big ol' as in like he's the guy. The
Okay, you're
producer
digging.
guy.
You just keep on
Yeah.
with what you're doing. Okay,
Okay.
that's not right.
The middle school cross country at 5 today, so they're doing that today. All those things are later. That's today, and then JV volleyball tournament at home from tomorrow to the 7th. I think
Yes,
that's it.
correct.
Yeah.
One last look at Daxton. That was nice knowing you.
Yep.
I'll
See y'all.
make sure that you're taken care of. Now
Mm-hmm.
run. All right, we are here again, Dusty McGee, the LISD superintendent. We get to sit down with you. You are our very first LHS Live guest. Oh, Mr. Ewing, what was it? Was it 3-4 years ago? 3 years ago, he's telling me. And we've come full circle here. You were full of energy and enthusiasm. At that time, you were the deputy superintendent.
Yes, sir.
And now you're the sheriff. How about that? You've
Yeah.
been promoted.
I have been promoted, and looks like some promotions have gone on here. The first time I was here, it was sparse, and now, I mean, man, great furniture. Man, I mean, this is quite a setup you guys have got.
Speaking of great furniture, we've done this several times now, and I've failed to mention Dream Furniture, one of our local businesses donated what we're using right now, and those folks are amazing, and they're always taking care of the kids for the district and went out of their way to help us out with this. So thank you, Dream Furniture. That was my shameless plug for them.
Hey, we have so many great community partners. Anytime that we can give one of them a shout out, it is definitely well deserved because they're definitely always there for us.
All right, Dusty. Can I call you Dusty? Is that
Sure.
okay? I don't have to call you Mr. McGee or
No,
anything like
no.
that? Okay, all right. See, I get to say a bunch of crazy stuff while we're live, and then later on.
No, feel free.
Okay, all right, awesome. Well, let's talk about what's been going on since you have taken over from Dr. A, who, by the way, I think absolutely hated being called Dr. A. You've taken over from him, and now this is kind of your ship that we're on. What does that mean for Liberty ISD? What is the direction? Where is the horizon line at for Liberty?
Sure. Well, I
told you, hard-hitting questions. How about
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it, Joe. Yeah. Anytime you take something over, even though, people may or may not realize that, I think I've been here 12 years now.
Gosh.
And, in a lot of different roles. I've been at every campus at some point, and then in several different positions at the admin building. But when you talk about taking something over, there are changes that happen, not necessarily because something was wrong. Just different people do things a different way. And different people focus on different things. And so I think over the last couple of years, what we've really talked about are two things. One is being a Panther and everything that means, which is a whole lot. But the second one is really maybe more to what you're going to, which is empowering excellence. And that's in the classroom. It's in how we treat each other. It's how we interact with the community. It's a lot of things. And so every kid's different. And education isn't and shouldn't be a one size fits all. And so I think the focus has been getting to try to know each and every student, each and every faculty member we have, all of our community partners, and then working together to empower excellence, not only for kids, but for faculty and for the community. And I think that's really been the focus.
One of the things that I noticed right away when you came on board as the man was there were some immediate cosmetic changes around the campuses, the 4 campuses that we have, that kind of spoke to a deeper thing that you just talked about, this uniformity, this idea that if you are at SJE or you're at LHS, you're still part of one single unit. Was that,
Sure.
is that, I guess, correct?
Yeah, I think that you have to have an alignment of focus, right? There has to be something that everybody is pulling towards. And when people live on islands, for instance, when people live on islands, if you're at SJE or you're at LES or you're across the road at LMS, a lot of times what happens in schools is that you have your own little school family and you kind of function independently. And I think that's sad. You know, we've gone to a convocation that brings everybody together. And there has to be an alignment. You know, when a kid goes from first grade to second grade, there should be an alignment there. When they go from 5th to 6th, from 8th to 9th. And when our community, our school community, communicates together, works together, there are less cracks for kids to fall through, but there's also more support and a better chance for success when we're all in it together versus living on islands.
Your lanyard says "Be a Panther."
Yes, sir.
We have these, I don't know, placards or
Sure.
posters that are all around that have this thing called the Panther Standard.
Right.
What is that?
You know, the Panther Standard and being a Panther, and we have those at every campus, and they look a little differently, you know, depending where you're at. But really what it talks about is whether you're a faculty member, whether a community member, or whether you're a student, it is giving everything you've got to being the best version of you. And not just being the best version of you, but helping others be the best versions of themselves too. And if we come together from a point of, I'm going to help you be better, you're going to help me be better, and if we all kind of do that together, we can achieve something great that each of us individually may not be capable of.
Man, every time you talk, I feel smarter.
So philosophic. Like,
And
like
I'm going to change cups, and I just want to point out that I did offer you water. And so when I change this out, I don't want anyone to think that I'm over here just drinking my water away and I didn't give anything to you. That's my segue there.
No, Joe, you were extremely hospitable.
I'll say that again twice. I love hearing that. That's amazing. All right, let's kick back to that last thought that you had.
Sure.
Because I feel like when you're talking about this idea of unity within our Panther family on these 4 campuses, that sometimes we forget about our larger community family. How do we incorporate our larger community family into this Be a Panther, this Panther Standard?
Yeah, sure. You know, there's a lot of times people may not know what goes on behind the scenes, but we spent about 9 months with community partners. I think that the invite list there was around 150 people, and we met for 9 months straight. and we toured every campus. We went in almost every classroom. We reviewed the curriculum. We looked at budget. And as a community, we talked about what do we want Liberty ISD to be? What do we want it to look like? What is its purpose? And what will it look like when we're successful? And so when you talk about decisions that are made, a lot of times I think people think, oh, well, they decided to do this, or they decided to do that, or they must have wanted that. But in truth, very little of what is done is spur of the moment. There's a list that was created with community members' input, with business input about what we want to be academically, what our businesses and employers are looking for as far as skill sets. We've looked at what our facilities need to look like. We've looked at what we want our students to represent. And so none of that is just me or you or a group of principals. That whole vision for what we want to be, because we're just a representation of the community, right? Liberty ISD doesn't exist for any other reason except to represent the community and educate its citizens. And so if we are detached from what the community expects, then we're not fulfilling our purpose either.
I'm gonna have to start taking notes when you talk. You just drop all these little nuggets of knowledge. So Dax, you are a senior.
Yes, sir.
So you are kind of at the tail end of this whole incorporation of Be a Panther, Panther Standard, all this excellence business. How have you specifically seen that in action in the hallways, classroom, anything that you're doing?
Well, I can tell you some of these kids are moving like wild animals in the hallways. So they're being panthers. But I feel like there's less of a disconnect amongst the grades, you know, like I feel like there's in high school there's a hierarchy, you know, like you're a senior, so you're like big man, you know, no matter who you are compared to the freshman. But I feel like there's less of that, you know. And I don't know if it's because of the classes or the people in the classes, but I feel like people are closer and it's not determined by their grade level.
Okay, that's kind of cool.
That's good.
So this is the cool thing. When you talk to kids, you kind of get an insight, because as an adult, I don't necessarily see that. And I don't feel that because I'm not operating in those circles.
You know, if I could, Joe,
Yeah.
two things that I think kind of, Dax, I appreciate those words, first of all. But, you know, every month I have 2 meetings, and maybe the most important meetings that I have all year. One is my Panther Council. And the one Panther Council is made up of just teachers and employees. And then we have our Student Panther Council, which is made up from representatives from every campus. And so each month we meet and we work through those same questions. What do we want to be? What's going right? What's not going right? As a student, our purpose is to serve our students. And so we're better to find out what they need, what's going well, what needs adjustment, than straight from them. And the same goes for our faculty. And so maybe the 2 most important meetings I have ongoing every month is to get just that word from the people who are really doing the work.
The most important follow-up to that
Sure.
is clearly which one of those groups gets fed. And follow-up to that follow-up is, how do I become a part of the one that gets fed?
Sure. Well, they both get fed.
Okay, I like to hear that.
But I will tell you, the faculty one.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
We usually order that after the first student meeting. They actually vote for what they want to eat at the next meeting, and so, but they both eat very well.
No dino nuggies?
Well, you know what's interesting
Okay.
is at our last At our last Student Panther Council meeting, they did order chicken. They wanted Chick-fil-A. So we made that happen.
Yes.
And I don't know if anybody's ever ordered Chick-fil-A nuggets, but they come basically in wheelbarrow size.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And there were a lot left. And so I got a big kick out of those students who had their lunch boxes with them, unzipped them, and filled their lunch boxes with nuggets to go. And so I felt like no matter how the meeting went, that was a success.
I just want to take a moment and let that kind of resonate in the air, kind of soak that in every time I feel Chick-fil-A. Oh, man, we're so close to lunch. Thank you for that. I appreciate
You're welcome.
that.
It's the little things.
It's the little things for sure, the little things. So these councils, I feel like you've gotten quite a bit of mileage from the student version.
Sure.
And now that you're doing that, are there any changes that have been implemented because of that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're at the high school, so maybe the biggest one here at the high school revolves around, great segue, Joe, your lunches. If you remember last year, the furniture in your cafeteria, Dax, was not the same. And then after our first Panther Council meeting, we had a talk about some overcrowding there. We came in and looked and actually replaced all the furniture in there with some newer, updated furniture that is much more efficient in its use of space. And then also went from 2 lunch lines to 3 to try to cut down on some of those serving wait times. And that is something that came directly out of Panther Council.
Yeah, those old tables that were in there were the worst. When we'd have meetings in there, I would always bring my own chair because it was so uncomfortable to sit on. And I can't imagine you guys sitting in there 30 minutes with your lunch and trying to figure that out. So
Yeah, it was used to, like, I'd go in there, hurry up, get my food, eat, and then stand up because I just didn't want to sit. Now it's nice.
Good. But you know, you can get all of the information you want. But knowledge without action is just a waste of time. And so what we do on the follow-up meetings, whether it's with our faculty or with our kids, we start the next meeting with a review of concerns, or they're not even concerns. A lot of times there's just ideas about how we can be better. We review those, and then we review what action has been taken since the last meeting. And so I want people to feel empowered. It's the same thing we were talking about as being a community or being together. We are better collectively than we are individually. And if we are only as good as something I can think of, then we're in trouble. You know, and so, you know, my job in a lot of ways is to open doors and open ears to the collective voice so we can be better.
I like that. So, kind of meandering through this whole process. If I were a better host, I'd have my cards and I'd have all these questions down and I could do some cool Johnny Carson stuff. That's wild stuff. But I'm not going to do that.
All right.
I am going to ask you about this, and I think that a lot of people don't understand this, and I'm an adult and I don't understand this always.
Sure.
The school board hires you,
Correct.
and then at their behest, you kind of run the school district, right?
Sure.
I think it's that school board portion that a lot of people don't understand. When we're in election season, we see people that are running for position 1 or position 2 or whatever, and then after that, it's kind of, all right, you got elected, and now what?
Sure. So if I understand your question, kind of role of school board, role of superintendent, and what does that interaction look like?
Correct. I could have said that exact thing, and I did not.
Well, I was just clarifying. I want to make sure I get you what you want. Sure. So a school board is probably in a lot of ways the most important part of a school district. Number one, their sole purpose is to represent the constituents of the community. And so it is true. In Texas, in some states it's different. In some states, superintendents are actually elected, like school boards. In Texas, it is the role of the school board to hire the superintendent. After that's done, the school board's main job is to set policy. And so when you look at anything we do, there is a policy for it. And a lot of people think, hey, why don't you just change X, whatever the policy is? And actually, that is a very specific set of circumstances. We can suggest policy change. We can discuss about policy change. But any policy that we go by in a school district is determined by the board. And so that is their main role, is to really set policy. But after that, the second thing is really we are what's called a team of 8, 7 board members plus myself.
Okay.
And the role of us working together is to have those meetings like we did with the community, find out what we're supposed to be. Then they give me kind of a set of goals that they would like to see happen over time in the school district. And then after that, it's really my job to achieve those goals. And that's where it does kind of switch more to me a little bit, because how I go about doing that, the day-to-day operations, the game plan, the implementation, if you will, that really is my responsibility. But policy and goal setting are really the two main things.
So if I've wrapped my brain around this correctly,
Sure.
I took my civics class.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm going to make my analogy, the school board is like Congress. You're like the president, and then the community members are like the judicial branch.
That's a good way to think about it. I would think if we want to break it down that way, the school board is definitely the legislative branch, right?
That was the better word.
And then the community is definitely the judicial branch, right? And then in this kind of analogy, I would be the executive branch. But in truth, much like government, we cannot function efficiently unless all three branches are working together.
Okay. See, if I had thought about it a little more, I probably wouldn't have asked you that previous question. Because great, we have a great school board, by the way. They
Second to none.
They go out of their way to make sure that we have things that we need. Lloyd was at an event that we had year before last, and he saw a need for my particular theater program.
Sure.
And he made that happen pretty quick, fast, and in a hurry.
Sure.
When you guys are all working together, how is that? I mean, do y'all butt heads sometimes, or is it all I mean, Yellow Brick Road business, or
Right.
I don't need details, but
No.
it's kind of because you go behind the closed session and then you come
Sure.
out and you've got whatever you've got. So I guess what I'm really asking is, how much latitude does a superintendent have to go in there and object or to do whatever else, knowing that those people are the ones that have hired you?
Yeah, I think any superintendent worth their salt should object. I think that progress is very rarely kumbaya. If I understood your little
Right, yes.
your little jig there.
That was from the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah. Now, there is a difference between debate and argument. I find it I find it maybe naive to think that you can reach the absolute best decision on any subject without debate. And the purpose of having 7 board members and myself is we all come from a different place. And it's no different than what we talked about with us being collectively together. When we have lines of communication open and we have a policy or a path forward that we're discussing, as long as we are all respectful, and we are, of each other, and we go into it with open eyes, open hearts, open ears, and we are willing to move off whatever position we came in with when necessary, then ultimately what you get to is the best thing for the community, kids, and staff. Where that goes awry sometimes in school districts is when you have people who have influence who also have a very certain maybe list of things that they are accomplishing no matter what.
Right.
And those things may or may not be timely. They may or may not be in the best interest of all students. And when you said we have the best school board, I can tell you that the board I work for is second to none, because those hidden agendas, those I'm on the school board so I can get X, or so I can have this influence. That is not what our team of 8 is about. The 7 people on our school board, hands down, want the best opportunities for our kids. They want to see this community empowered, and whatever decisions they need to make that a reality, they are all for it. And do we have discussions about, do we do A first or B first? Absolutely. Do we talk about, hey, if we're going to do this, there's kind of 3 different roads to get there. And sometimes, we may debate the merits of path A versus path C. But I will tell you this without exception. After we have that debate, I have never left a board meeting where we did not leave unified for the purpose of the betterment of the community. That doesn't always mean that I left with exactly how I would have done it. But the thing is, you can take any hill in battle, but it will do you no good to win that if you look around and there's nobody left with you. And so a lot of my job is consensus building and getting to the goals we need to accomplish. And I could not be blessed with 7 people who believe that any less than I do.
Awesome. Well, we're just about out of time. One final thought: if I were sitting at home and I were watching this, what's one kind of takeaway from you, the superintendent, that I could grab, some kind of life lesson?
Oh, a life lesson.
Life lesson.
Yeah, I think something not just about education. I think it's something in our personal lives. I think it's something in our professional lives. I think it's something that no matter where you work, where you live, no matter what your circumstances are, I try to share with people that surround yourself with people who want more for you and not from you. And that leads to a life of service and empowerment. And if we're about empowering excellence, it starts first with helping others be their best. And in turn, you reap the benefits of that as well. So be around people who want more for you, not from you.
Love it. Great
Amen.
words from the LISD Superintendent, Dusty McGee. You've been watching LHS Live. Daxton, take it away.
We'll see you next time. Same time, Wednesday.
Okay. I like it.
Hear ye, all ye